Alright, doing it live, back again, back in action, my friends. Remember when LL Cool J was like, don't call it a comeback? Everyone was like, I don't know who the hell you are. Definitely the first time I've seen you. Well, this is not like that. Because I have a devoted following, of which you are one. Welcome. Are you comfortable? Are you enjoying yourself? Well, good. Take a seat. Let's get started. Oh, God, I don't even know what to say about this. From the independent.co.uk, promiscuous monkeys discovered mating with other species, finds research. By Colin Drury. Posted today. Subheadline: Red tails are mating with blues, blues are mating with red tails, and hybrids are mating with everyone. Sickening. Hybrids also obviously being the equivalent of, I don't know, whatever Barack Obama is. When it comes to finding a partner, monkeys are not necessarily so picky. They insist a mate comes from the same species. In fact, they don't insist that a mate comes at all. Boom! I still got it. Alright. New genetic research suggests that primates in Tanzania are so promiscuous they will happily cross the species divide. Oh, God. The study shows red-tailed and blue monkeys living in Gombe National Park regularly get together. Despite being entirely separate creatures with entirely different looks and social structures. Do you see what they're doing? The liberal agenda is trying to push this down our goddamn throats. Just like a red tail shoving itself down a blue monkey's throat. It's trying to tell us it's fine for everybody to be in harmony and cross boundaries and come over into other countries and breed with Americans and create babies that are American. No! Not on my watch. He continues. It's the first time that such cross-divide mating has been proven among Guianan monkeys. It has resulted in a unique hybrid population, according to a research published in the International Journal of Primatology. Is that what they call the Democratic newsletter? Ha ha! Not as good, but still something. Alright, moving on. There's a lot of promiscuity taking place, said another study author, Kate DeTwyler, anthropology professor at Florida Atlantic University, a university I have, for what it's worth, never heard of. Quote, red tails are mating with blues, blues are mating with red tails, and hybrids are mating with everyone. Is this not how AIDS started? I don't actually know, I forget. I forget if it was the government or monkeys, but it's definitely one of those two. She goes on. But we're just not seeing any negative consequences from these two very different species repeatedly mating and producing offspring on an ongoing basis. Oh, really? Well, maybe that's because you're not a red-tailed monkey. Maybe from afar it all looks good, but maybe down on the ground, down where the people live, in this case the monkeys, where the monkeys live, maybe they're not so happy about seeing their sister giving birth to half-red, or what's that, orange? Is that the mixture? Orange-tailed monkeys. It's gross. Orange is a gross color. She estimated the bizarre relationships had been going on for years, and she added they may very well have developed because the red-tailed females found the blues more... Oh, God, I just threw up in my mouth. Found the blues more exotic than their own species. Ugh! This is the world that the liberals want. This is what Hillary Clinton wants. She just wants America filled with foreigners from different lands coming in, looking all exotic, shaking their tails, and being like, ooh, senorita! And all the women are stupid and they can't handle it. They just go to them with their well-combed mustaches and their exotic tongues. Next thing you know, you got a half-Mexican nephew. And that is not a fate I wish on anyone, listeners. Every goddamn Christmas Eve. Every goddamn Christmas Eve, I gotta go and listen to, oh, say hello to, she does the accent now, she's stupid. Say hello to your avuncular or whatever. I don't know how to say uncle, it's probably something like that. A mixed sex society of, what the fuck? A mixed sex society of, a sex society? What kind of, goddamn! Alright, a mixed sex society of red-tailed monkeys arrived in the region first and thrived, she said. Male blue monkeys, she added, probably arrived later after being kicked out of their own groups on reaching sexual maturity. Oh, does that ring any bells, asylum seekers? Hint, hint. I kept coming back to the idea that if they are only supposed to mate with their own kind, then why did these red-tailed monkeys mate with the blue monkeys, especially if they had males of their own species around, Professor Detweiler said. The female red-tailed monkeys present as God, you have to go into the goddamn details? It's disgusting. They present as willing partners, and they are not coerced or forced into copulation with blue monkeys. I don't want to read about them presenting. For fuck's sake! This is still a Christian country! Apparently, some female red-tailed monkeys were attracted to novel males with different faces and welcomed the sexual advances. Yeah, well, apparently some red-tailed monkeys are common sluts. Maybe some monkeys have been taking lessons from my ex-wife Joanna. Well, talk about a mistake. You know, obviously I am not one for government interference, but I feel like there should be regulations. If you go to Vegas and you get married and you're saying your vows and you physically have a bottle of wild turkey still in your hand, I feel like someone should step in. The research involved analyzing DNA from the feces of the primates. Oh, good. Good. This wasn't blasphemous enough. Why don't we find out why they are crossbreeding and creating devil monkeys? Let's just take their feces and hand it over to a scientist. Now, Professor Detweiler believes studying how the two species have coexisted and merged could help in understanding hybridization in general. She said the society provides an amazing laboratory in nature to help us answer many questions about how species boundaries are maintained. I'll tell you how they're maintained, with border walls! With legislation! With bigotry! These are how we maintain our values. She added, this research... Take two. She added, this research is very timely because hybridization often occurs in response to environmental changes, as we are seeing with climate change. Oh, God, yeah. Work that in there. Work that in there. Why don't you, work something in like, there are females of this species. Hey, you know who's another, female? Hillary Clinton. I voted for her. Great. Good for you. As we're seeing with climate change and modified landscapes. It is nature's way to respond. Oh, great. So nature's just a goddamn Democrat now. It just makes me fucking sick. When I grew up, we had red tails mating with red tails and blues mating with blues. The way it should be. Granted, I had never heard of either one of these species prior to today, but I am nevertheless incensed! Incensed! Well, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to run a promo now for a very lovely show, Conversations with God. That's right. Get some old-time religion back on the internet. Back on this modern-day Sodom. I'm speaking generally, of course. We're not uploading the podcast to the pageboy fetish site, thismoderndaysodom.com. Allegedly. Nailed. So this ray of divine light is from my dear friend Tony. And, I'm glad I had this opportunity because I try to espouse good family values, but I know I have a tendency to sometimes go blue. By which I mean I am not above going for a cheap laugh by mentioning a Democrat. At times I've even been known to invoke the name of she who shall not be named president. So anyway, it's good to get back to family values, blah, blah, blah. Okay, roll the clip.
My name is Tony from the Conversations with God podcast. It's a podcast where I have open, frank, and deep discussions with the creator of the universe, God. In this short clip you're about to hear, we ask God a very deep philosophical question from episode 8. Louise has emailed in to the show and she asks, God, if you unscrew your belly button, does your bum fall off?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, I suppose I'd better give it a try, hey Tony. Hold on. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, my bum's fallen off.
There you go, Louise. The answer to your question is yes. If you unscrew your belly button, your bum will fall off. On Twitter and Facebook, @Convo with God Pod. If you have a question for the Lord, conversationswithgodpodcast@gmail.com. The show is available on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Conversations with God, removing the annoying leg hair of religion with a satirical wax strip.
I am so sorry. I had no idea. Look, I just say what my producer tells me to say, okay? Usually during the breaks, I just go and do whatever the Marlboro Red equivalent of shotgunning a beer is. But I happened to come back and catch the very end of that. And believe me when I say I was as surprised as anyone to hear the blasphemy of God speaking with a foreigner. I don't even know. Obviously, I try to hear as few accents as I possibly can. But my producer said the guy's Australian. To me, he sounds more like one of the bad guys from the classic Mel Gibson vehicle, The Patriot. If both those things are true, I mean, that's 2 strikes against you, buddy, so you better watch yourself. Because we're in California up in here. California, of course, still having its 3 strikes law on the books, with mandatory life sentencing on your 3rd violent crime or act of treading upon foreign soil. Wow. All right. Anyway, hear no evil, speak no evil. Hear no evil, speak no evil. All right. Let's do it. All right. We're doing it live. Let's go. All right. Now, from Infowars.com. April 23, John Rappaport. Would you want to be a pig with a human brain? That is the title. We're entering the world of growing human organs in animals. Oh, I don't know. Let's gear up. And also, let's just keep in mind, the title is the question. Would you want to be a pig with a human brain? Okay, so that just puts everything in context. Stat News. Stanford University's Dr. Hiromitsu Nakauchi broke open the chimera field with a 2010 experiment showing he could grow a rat pancreas in a mouse. Nakauchi is now working on human sheep chimeras, hoping that sheep, which have proven more receptive than pigs for growing human blood cells — oh, I'm glad they've tried that on a variety of things already — might be a better template for growing human organs. I've long thought that certain humans already have pig brains, so transplantations between pigs and humans ought to be easy. Ha! John Rappaport, nice! Coming out hot right out of the gate. We're entering the world of growing human organs in animals for the purpose of taking those organs and putting them into human bodies. Someday, if all goes well, in parentheses, don't hold your breath, no more long waiting lines for a new kidney or liver. Voila! They'll just grow one in a pig or a sheep or a monkey. Now, do you know why Hollywood has been churning out so many movies with mutants and hybrids and mix and match monsters? Chimeras are in. It's the coming fashion statement. That's right. That's why you had everything from 1996's The Island of Dr. Moreau to 1932's The Island of Dr. Moreau. And probably other ones. Quote, yes, Sid was dying and... okay, so there's going to be a bunch of quotes coming up. And just so you liberals don't get your panties in a bunch, no, they are not attributed to anyone. Yes, they're just fictitious things the author made up to illustrate a point. And yes, to masquerade as legitimate journalism while injecting these hypothetical scenarios is perhaps, not displaying the utmost journalistic integrity, but whatever. But here we go with the fun stuff. Yes, Sid was dying until they made a heart in a gorilla and stuck it in his chest. He's so proud to show people the scar from the surgery. Who, the gorilla? No, Sid! Ha ha! Wow! That's in a news article. Wow! Okay, alright. That's nothing. My wife's new brain was grown in a mountain lion. At night, out on the lawn, she crouches and growls. I admit I find it rather thrilling. Okay? My cousin Sally, God bless her, just volunteered to have the lower part of her body removed so she could become half horse. It actually says so could become half horse. Once again, Deep State Cowboy, AWOL.com, editing needs. Oh, this one doesn't even... So the last quote is, my cousin Sally, God bless her, just volunteered to have the lower part of her body removed so could become half horse. Then the author comes back with the, narrator voice. Yes, but will they allow Sally to run in the Kentucky Derby? So, okay, we're back to the actual journalism. Whew, okay. The medical world is agog with the possibilities of human-animal interchanges. Behind that, however, is a lurking transhuman proposition. Quote, nothing about a human is settled. We can make humans into anything we want. Let's create a new world, end quote. Is that... No, it's not attributed to anyone. It's literally just a thing he made up. Leave me alone. He goes on. And if that comes to pass, it'll be far easier to convince people to enlist for reprogramming at fundamental levels, okay? So, yeah, first they get you with growing monkey brains, and then they're gonna reprogram you. It is an obvious 1-2 step. One follows the other. This isn't science. Well, it is science, but I mean, it's not like... I was using that as like a rhetorical thing. The point is, it's not complicated. Alright, here comes another quote. Thank you for signing up. We want to build people who are only interested in others, not themselves. We want abject altruists who'll give everything away for an abstract ideal of justice. We can condition that impulse into the new human. End quote. Yeah, that's probably something someone might say. Hypothetically. Makes me sick. That hypothetical situation makes me real life sick.
Well, okay. Let me just say my piece real quick.
Yeah, you love peace, don't you?
Okay, hold on. But here's the thing. So you're just throwing, or he is throwing random quotes in there. So he literally could just make up anything that these people are saying. And the thing that he decides to do is, criticize people for being altruists? Like, okay, so he can invent any agenda, right? And the deep, dark thing that the deep state is doing is creating everyone with an altruistic sense of justice? I mean, is that really your...
Yes! That is the ultimate embodiment of evil and the fourth sign of the apocalypse. As soon as people start talking about altruism, you know you're dead. We're all dead, except I'm going to heaven. You're probably not. If you're listening to this, maybe you are, but you, the person who's a Democrat, are not. Boom. Science on the march. He says, keep breaking down and assaulting the idea that the human being is inviolate until the masses are ready to accept any and all alterations. I'll tell you one thing that's not inviolate. Your mom. As a first cousin to these efforts, we have some academics declaring that robots should have rights. Oh, great. First, we want Mexicans to have rights. Now robots. What's next? Workers' rights? Rights of the accused? Stravinsky's Rites of Spring? I don't know. That's the best I get. Non-conscious machines should have rights. This is the author. I offer up my toaster. Let him be safe from untimely destruction. Let's set up commissions across the world to formulate the rules of kindness and care for all devices. Let's program humans into being machines and give the machines the rights of humans. That'll do it. Pfft. With the onrush of the Internet of Things, all of which are connected to the Internet, You think that's a coincidence, by the way? There's a good chance your home appliances, gifted with the power of conversation, will seem to be alive. That's right. First, they start displaying text that says, battery needs changing. Next thing you know, they're saying, oh, you should probably vote for Hillary. And next thing you know, my wife once caught me trying to have sex with the refrigerator. Let's move along. Here is a charming quote attributed to Bill Gates. Robots will play an important role in providing physical assistance and even companionship for the elderly. Yes, with enough drugs on the night table, the elderly will believe their companion robots are genuine friends, perhaps even departed relatives. So if one day you're visiting your mother in a nursing home, don't be surprised if the supervisor says, I suggest you turn around and go away. Your mother has a robot, and she believes it's you. If you walk into her room, she might become disoriented. Don't worry, we have things under control. That's exactly what's going to happen. I know. I can see it. This guy's right. That is exactly that quote. That will be an actual quote, given time. At which point, I advise you to stand firm and reply, quote, I won't be phased out. Yes! That's right. Stand up for human rights. I mean, not... Okay. When I say stand up for human rights, I mean, like, you know what I mean. Not like... I mean, people use that to mean all sorts of crazy things, like, you know, stand against genocide and whatnot, but that's obviously not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. All right. And you might add, quote, is there a chance your surgeon made a mistake and installed a pig brain in your head? Oh! Nice! That's how he goes out. Go out strong. Just like Jordan, bitch. Go out on a joke. Go out. Leave him wanting more. Also, I would like to take this time to just wrap it all around and say, don't forget the title was, Would You Want to Be a Pig with a Human Brain? They don't really address that until, I mean, you're going through the article, right? And you're like, okay, that title's a little bit unfair because it doesn't, I mean, that's not what we're talking about at all. We're talking about just growing organs to put in people. But then he comes back around, sums it up with, did your surgeon make a mistake and install a pig brain in your head? And you're like, oh, bringing it all back home. All right, red pill out.